I'm Melissa.
And I'm Lisa.
We're realtors in the Shenandoah Valley.
We love where we live and we love what we do, and we cannot wait to show you. Welcome to the channel.
She works with Atlantic Bay Mortgage, and she's going to give us an outlook for 2025.
And hopefully we'll be able to answer a few questions that you might have if you're interested in buying or potentially investing in the Shenandoah Valley. So thanks for seeing us today, Julie.
Thanks for having me.
Looking forward to have a conversation.
I
And of
know.
course, snacks are going to be involved.
There you go.
A little bit later.
So are you ready?
Yes.
Got some questions for you.
Give it to me.
All right. So the big question everyone wants to know, are rates going to come down in 2025?
Okay.
There
Give us
is
news.
there is speculation that rates may ease up later in the year.
Okay.
But as you know, we were told that several times last year, and it came down a little bit, creep back up, came down a little bit. So the best approach when it comes to rates and what's going on, focus on what you qualify for. Don't focus on what the rate is, because when rates do come down, I can almost 100% guarantee you that the prices of the houses are going to go up. So guess what? The people that went ahead and purchased when prices were down yet rates were higher, they can refinance and have a much lower payment. Whereas you've waited until the rates came down, prices went up, then what do? You're not going to see a near future lower payment unless rates go down extremely lower than what they already are.
Right.
So-
And that can bring multiple offer
Yes.
uncomfortable situations.
Yes, we've seen that.
Yeah, we have been through that.
Yes.
So thank you. That was good.
Yeah. Well, I always love stories. I was saying that, earlier, but do you have, a horror story example that you might want to share that is like a really good lesson for people?
So many.
Something that's sort of like what not to do.
Oh boy, where do we begin? I could take up 20 hours of your
Okay.
time on what not
go
to
for
do.
one of your greatest hits. What
Well, with Atlantic Bay, you initially go automatically to underwriting, which is a big thing for a lender, because normally you don't get an underwriter's approval until everything is done. We do it immediately so that we make sure that everything is good. We had been through underwriting approval, everything was great. Well, guess what? Our borrower decided that he wanted to be on first shift. By doing that, he lost, what was it?
$1
It was
an hour
almost
or
$2
something?
an hour. So there goes your approval.
Oh, no.
People think that just little amounts like that don't amount to much, but when you're looking at debt to income ratios, we have to be exact. I mean, I'm going to know exactly what your payments are, what you're making every month. So if you quit your job and want to buy a house, or if you change your job description, it can really affect things. For instance, if you're a full-time employer and then they want you to go to a commission job, forget it. You're not going to be able to do anything for 2 years. The history of everything, pretty much when it comes to credit, assets, anything like that, you want a 2-year history of where your income is coming from. You want a 2-year history of where you've lived, prove that you can make the house payment.
Right.
And some loans even go as far as we have to document and show their rent being paid for the last 12 months. Because, that I have had that happen where when we got the information from the landlord, they were making late rent payments. If you can't pay rent, you probably are not going to be able to make a mortgage payment.
All right, Julie. So how much money does a buyer need to buy a house?
None.
Like it.
Could you repeat that?
I know. There are so many different loan programs out there. But just the traditional, conventional loan, a first-time home buyer can put as little as 3%. A person that already owns a home can put as little, as long as they meet the qualifications, which can be income, or whatever. They do not have to be a first-time home buyer to put the 3% down. That varies, so I won't even get into that. FHA, however, their smallest amount is 3.5%. And the cool thing about both of those, as well as VA and USDA, they work with Virginia Housing for us. And for instance, the 3% that you would have to put down out of pocket, you can do a 97% conventional loan. Virginia Housing will give you the 3% to put down. And the kicker on that one is Piedmont Housing right now, if you're in the correct income limit, I can get you 1 point at no cost off of your rate. I closed one this morning at 5.75%, no cost to the borrower. Those mortgages.
Sure.
But you know, there's so much stigma out there. You've got to have 20%. I don't have 20% saved up. You do not have to. So in some programs, you can even get the seller to pay your closing costs. So you could actually come buy a home, and at the closing table, bring nothing.
That's
so
nice.
no down payment or closing costs, depending
Really
on
good.
how the loan is structured and what you qualify for. Like I said, it's different for everyone.
Kind of reminds me of a Rubik's Cube, where every single person comes in and it's
it's
just a hot
different.
mess.
They
and
are
then
never the
you're
same.
doing this and you're figuring out, okay, there we go, we can get you
You're
a home.
exactly right, because you can't compare your mortgage to anyone else's, because they are structured individually for you.
Yeah.
So what one qualifies for, the other one may not.
This is so true.
Absolutely.
Great.
Well, we have one more question for you, and it's a big one. And I think because we've been working very intensely, we have earned some cupcakes.
Oh, did I see children? Your muffin top with two hands at the top, and then pull it apart gently,
Got it?
and then take that and put it on the icing, and voila!
This is so we don't have frosting all over our faces.
Because that's usually how I do
Smash
it.
it down.
Now I'll just have chocolate in my tea.
It is like a cup
All right, it is
Isn't
like
that cool?
Yep.
or a hamburger.
You can tell I'm a cupcake
You don't look at your icing success. Success it is.
eater. This is amazing.
Thank you.
So Julie, one last question. Any final advice for home buyers?
Yes. To me, the number one thing, if one of my children were to want to buy a house right now, if they were in another state and not in Virginia and didn't use me, please find a local lender, because your local lender is going to know all about that area, because there's so many things in a loan program. So, I mean, you want to make sure that they're being handheld and walked through the process. So the first-time home buyer, especially, they need to know all of their options when it comes to financing. They need to know what to expect. They need to know what kind of documentation is going to be requested, so they're not overwhelmed. You know, just like I had said earlier about the Buyer Boost program.
Right.
Have all of that done. So when you've got a contract on a house, you can focus on getting ready to move and packing instead of, oh my God, where's my W-2 from last year? So little things like that, you just want them to feel confident. And that's my biggest thing, especially with first-time home buyers. I want them to feel educated, and I want them to go into buying a home feeling like I know what I'm getting myself into. I know what this payment's going to be. I feel confident in everything, and they know that they have a person that's helping them and holding their hands the entire way.
Thank you, Julie, for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.